You're listening to the Station 71 podcast with your hosts, Mario,
Beth,
Brian,
and Kirsten.
So this week, I am super happy that we have Kirsten back. Welcome back, Kirsten. We missed you for those 2 weeks you were gone. We're going to hand the floor over to her this week and kind of let her go through some stuff that she had on her trip, some newfound things that she discovered with taking a child with her for the first time, and kind of give us a trip report of some exciting things that, happened to her. But as always, we're going to start the show with some news. I actually think Beth or Brian, do you guys want to take this since you guys were the ones that contributed the news this week?
Sure. So one of the things that I saw was that concept art debuted for the Tower of Terror projection map overlay that they're going to be doing at Hollywood Studios for their Sunset Seasons greetings. So their little holiday celebration that they're doing at Hollywood Studios. And from what I read, it's going to have, this is just one of several different overlays that they're going to have with the projection mapping, and it's going to kind of all tie into different parts of the show that they're going to have.
I like the idea of them doing a projection map to the Tower of Terror, but I don't know how I feel about the photos that came out for Sunset Seasons greetings. I know you kind of said before we started this, Beth, that it is temporary, and I kind of have to agree with you on that. But I don't know. It just feels a little I don't want to say childish because that sounds so wrong, but just not Tower of Terror to me.
No, I completely agree with that. It doesn't look like anything that belongs on the Tower of Terror from the art that they've shown.
But that said, it is temporary, and I kind of I get that aspect of it too.
I think my rationale is that it's what I'm kind of assuming they're going to do is it's only going to be lit up for a little bit, during the shows that they have. So it's not going to be you walk in to Hollywood Studios and it's like this all day. So I guess my rationale is that if people are on Tower of Terror, they're not going to see it. It's not going to take away from their experience. But if you're not on Tower of Terror and you're watching the show, it's just a little added bonus.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to see the article or the pictures yet. I just have been busy. And so I just Googled it. And I feel like this sentence from this article that I pulled up, the first sentence sums up my opinion, and it's, Disney, can you please leave the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror alone? What did it ever do to you? I don't know. I mean, whatever, I'm fine with it. I didn't really see it, so I don't have an opinion, but I just don't want this to be a path, a slow downfall to something like the Guardians of the Galaxy overlay that went in at Disneyland, because I will chain myself to the Tower of Terror and they will have to bulldoze me along with it.
Oh, you and me both.
Yeah, I'd be very unhappy if some permanent change came.
I feel like with the reaction that they initially got over Tower of Terror, our Tower of Terror is probably here for a while, and I'm going to knock on wood while I say that. Because I remember when they first announced that, oh yeah, Tower of Terror is going to get a Guardians of the Galaxy overlay to it, and everybody was like, not Disney World's, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that just was enough for Disney to see that no, this needs to stay.
Yeah, I think ours is safe. I've also heard, I've never been to Disneyland, but I heard the one over there wasn't as good as ours because it didn't have most of the kind of pre-show-ish elements. It didn't have the, whatever the room is, the dimension, whatever it is. I can't remember off the name right now. It's
where you go through the hotel part, once you come up to the top. Okay.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard, that they didn't have that. And I could definitely see how that would take away from Tower of Terror, just to be like a drop zone, basically.
Yeah,
But-
I could see that.
So for our next news article, the classic House of Magic facade returns to Main Street, USA. So for all you Disney history buffs, the shops on Main Street where the Emporium are used to be divided into different actual shops. It wasn't just one big, store with different facades going in. It actually used to be different shops, and one of them was Magic Shop. So unfortunately, it is not opening back up, but they have redone the facade to look like the classic one. And with that, they are also bringing back a new House of Magic shirt that they will be selling in the Emporium. And they've also kind of redone the shop window to look like the old one, so that's kind of cool. That just opened up today, actually, I think, so it's very recent.
These pictures look awesome. I love any love that Main Street gets.
Yeah.
And I think it was much needed to add another shop or something there. I know we're getting that theater and all, but just give me something now, and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sad that I never got to experience that. Ever since I've been going regularly, it's just been the Emporium.
So I think the next two are both yours, Beth, so you can take both of them.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to let you know that I'm passing it off to you.
Yeah, definitely. So they, within the last few hours, announced the full cast of the live-action Lion King remake that they're doing, with the most notable one being Beyonce as Nala.
Yeah,
I'm not a
fan.
Yeah.
I don't get the Beyonce obsession. I really
I
don't.
don't either.
There's some weird choices for this casting. It's definitely like, I guess you could say an all-star lineup. Like, it's definitely a very like celebrity-heavy lineup, I guess is the best way to put it. But when they talked about Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner as Timon and Pumbaa, I was a little kind of like, okay, I can see it, but why? I really like John Oliver as Zazu, though. I think his voice fits it pretty well. Mm-hmm. There are some choices on here that I'm pretty happy about. Others I'm like, I guess I'll see when it comes out.
I don't know. I feel like no one will be able to follow up Nathan Lane as Timon. He is the best. So that's going to be a hard act. That's like the genie, in Aladdin.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And
Yeah,
also,
Donald.
what were you going to say?
Donald Glover as Simba, kind of strange, I think. I like Donald Glover, his acting, stand-up, and his music even, but it's kind of, I don't know how I feel about him as voicing Simba in this one.
Yeah.
He will forever be Troy Barnes from Community to me.
Yeah.
So I can't see him as anything else.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how a lot of these turn out. But guess we'll find out in a couple summers from now.
Yep.
And so our next... one last thing about the cast. I thought this was a kind of weird thing. They changed the names of the hyenas.
What?
So originally it was Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed. And now it's Shenzi, Kamari, and Azizi.
Is this like a PC thing?
See, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm like usually all for all PC things, but that's just weird to me.
Well, they did this in Maleficent as well with the fairies. They changed the names from Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather to like Thistlewit, Flittle, and Knotgrass or something.
Yeah, that's
And
weird.
I was just like, why? That just seems like a really unnecessary change to me, but maybe they have reasoning.
I guess Ed was like the humorous character, and if they can't pull that off with like the live action situation, maybe they're doing it to be more. I don't know how realistic you can be with a live action talking animal movie, but Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? Because it's not like Ed is like a live-action hyena, can't chew on his foot and look silly. It's just not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
before we move on from that, does it really bother anyone else that we're calling this a live action movie and there's no live action actors?
Yeah.
It's like the live-action Jungle Book.
See,
There's, like,
even the Jungle Book, you had one
person.
actor. Yeah, like you had Mowgli. But there's just no one. It's all going to be animated, and it really bugs me.
Yeah. It's like kind of a misnomer,
Yeah.
but it sounds better than calling it a CGI Lion King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lion King now in CG.
Yeah. So our last news article for this episode is just kind of a little fun one. There is a guy that dressed up for Halloween as the I-4 Eyesore, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious and that it needed to be mentioned. And we'll include the link in the show notes so everyone can see if you haven't already.
For people who don't like drive by it, give a rundown of the I-4 Eyesore. It's that hideous building, correct?
Yeah, so it's an 18-story tower. This is directly from the article, officially called the Majesty Building, and it has been underway since 2001, so over a decade. But it keeps getting delayed, and like construction's halted, and
Wow, almost 20 years, closer to 20 than 10.
right. And so it's just become kind of a running joke for people, I think, especially in the Disney community that do drive by it. So, but yeah, I always make fun of it when I drive by.
I love this costume. It's good enough that you can tell what it is, but it's bad enough to just convey how bad the building looks too. Like the perfect amount of workmanship went into this costume.
Yeah. So he won Halloween this year, I think.
So real quick before we move on to Kirsten's trip report and everything, I know you put this at the top of the show notes and I totally kind of skipped right by it. I want to give a shout out to listener Chant. He gave us a really nice comment on our Facebook post about our Adventureland episode, and he pointed out something that actually none of us had really thought of, and when he mentioned it, I kind of had to take everything that I said back, so here's me kind of like eating my words for a moment. He said that this was his first listen to our podcast, and he really enjoyed it, but he wanted to drop a quick note about Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and he feels that it's great and it needs to stay where it is forever. This is just me paraphrasing, by the way. I'm not going to read it all directly. But he pointed out this is actually one of the only spinning thrill rides that is wheelchair accessible. And that is a very great point. He detailed everything on how it all works and how they make it wheelchair accessible. But we kind of had to take a step back and realize, okay, yeah, there is a reason that it is here. So thank you for pointing that out to us, Chant. And if you guys ever catch us on anything like that again, feel free to let us know, because I will totally step back and eat my words on that.
Yeah, and by wheelchair accessible, he means, just for anybody listening, anybody in a wheelchair can ride, I think, everything at Disney rides, but a lot of them you have to transfer. So you have to transfer like into a different seat or something like that. But for this one, the wheelchair can go directly onto the ride. And so that's the thing that's really unusual.
And it probably, I mean, we're going to have him on a show if he'll join us. But it probably makes getting in and out of that line so much easier because you don't have to transfer. It makes, just rolling on, strapping in, and going just that much better. And I feel like, I don't want to say it's probably like embarrassing for the family that has to go with that, but it just makes the process a lot easier, if that makes sense.
Well, and a lot of people, I remember, this is just kind of off topic, when the whole disability card drama was happening a few years ago. But what a lot of people don't realize is with the disability cards, depending on what type of disability the person has, they it's not like they just get to pass the line. Sometimes they actually have to wait longer to wait for them to get out a vehicle, a ride vehicle that can be transferred into, or, for example, the Magic Carpets, there's only one vehicle that is wheelchair accessible. So if they're, 5 in line, like they have to wait until it's their turn. So a lot of times they're actually waiting longer, and it's really inconvenient.
That makes sense.
Anyway, that's all I know.
So, no, you're fine. But like I said, I wanted to take that quick moment to give him a shout out and thank him for pointing that out to us, because I love when people kind of, talk to us. That's why we're here. So, with that said, let's move on to Kirsten's trip report and talk about some of your stuff you learned this time.
Okay. I'll just go. I'm going to do just a really quick rundown of sort of our days, and maybe I'll remember things based on that. And then I have sort of some overall notes. So we got there. We took a morning flight, and I will say I bought Eli his own seat on the plane instead of doing a lap child, because I saw this video that scared me, and it was like, if there's turbulence on the plane and you can't hold on to your baby, like blah blah blah, basically made me feel like he was gonna die. So I spent the money and bought him his own plane seat, and it was so worth it. I will absolutely do it again, because carting him through the airport is already like annoying enough because he's so heavy and you already have a billion bags. And so imagining like having to hold him on the plane too, I can't. But instead, his car seat was in his own seat. He got to sit in it, slept the whole time. So I'm fully on board with not doing lap children and buying them tickets if you can afford it. So much easier. Anyway.
Yeah, I would definitely do that if I had a kid.
Yeah, like most people don't, and I can see why, because it's expensive. But I think our flights were like $150, completely worth the $150 to not have to pass him around and deal with him in our laps on the plane.
So with that, do you get extra carry-ons too, since he has his own seat?
I mean, he gets like his carry-on, yeah, but you can only carry so much. So
Yeah.
I carried a carry-on for both Will and I, and then Will and myself. That would be correct grammar. And then Will carried the diaper bag, and we just kind of tag teamed the car seat. And whoever wasn't holding the car seat was holding the baby.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we also rented a stroller and a crib from Kingdom Strollers, and apparently everyone rents for them, because I've never noticed until this trip. So many of the strollers have the Kingdom Stroller tags on them. They're everywhere. And that was really good. You can always get a pack and play at a Disney resort, but they kind of squeaked me out. I just wanted a crib. So I rented one, brought my own crib sheet. I'm weird like that. It's definitely not necessary, but they do have the option, and it's definitely not overly expensive. And they deliver it to Bell Services. You pick it up there. They'll send it to your room. Super easy. This was also our first time to order groceries, and we ordered from Garden Grocer. Very convenient. Same thing. They leave it at Bell Services, and Bell Services will refrigerate anything that needs to be refrigerated, and then they actually text you when it gets there, so you can pick it up, whenever you want. Let's see. We went to Disney Springs. I think Disney Springs sucks now because it's like a big outdoor mall. Just saying. And we ate at Morimoto, and it was so good. I would highly recommend it. They have, I don't know if it's Wagyu or Wagyu, but the beef, like the Japanese beef that's very expensive, and you order it by the ounce. It's like $24 an ounce, I think. And so my dad ordered some so we could all try it, and it was amazing. Like, I've never had anything that tasted like that. And they cook it tableside, which was crazy.
That's cool. How are there like set ounces, or do you just literally say like, I want this many?
Yeah, you just say like, you can order 1 ounce. We ordered 3, and there were 4 of us, and so they brought out these little bitty slices and cook it, and then we just like tried to split it up equally, and I mean, it was like 3 or 4 bites, what you got, but it was so good.
Okay.
And the restaurant in general, the waiters were really good, and it's like a tapas style restaurant, so they want you to order and pass and that sort of thing.
Cool.
And then let's see, first day in the parks, Flight of Passage. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Now I'm alone on this one. I'm the only one that hasn't ridden this.
I'm sorry for you because it was awesome. My dad does not really care for Disney. Like, up until the few days before we left, he was still like, oh, I might be too busy with work, I might not be able to go, but he got off it and he was like, that's the coolest ride I've ever been on in my life. So if he has that kind of seal of approval, it's pretty good. It was amazing. I would definitely wait, not for like 180 minutes, but I would wait for like 80 minutes for that if it was my like second time to ride it or something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Food and wine. I really didn't get to enjoy food and wine as much as I would have liked to, but it's also not really my style, I don't think. Because I'm really picky, and so I feel like I'm paying $8 to play Russian roulette with will I like this or will I throw it away? But everybody else loves it. It was super popular. Clearly, we all know this. Hollywood Studios, the day we went there, Tower of Terror was down all day, and I did not get to ride it. And my last day, I was going to try to go back to ride it, and the line was 135 minutes. So I did not get to ride it my entire trip. I'm not okay with that. And I didn't notice, and y'all might know this, Brian, you especially since you go a lot, is the third track on Toy Story Mania already going?
Yeah.
It is? Because I didn't even think until after I got out to, like, look for it. And then afterwards, like, I didn't really notice anything.
They do a really good job of hiding it, I think. Like, if I remember correctly, like, you don't really notice that there's a third track, but there's definitely a third track.
Okay. So, yeah. I was just curious, because I feel like the lines were kind of shorter. Maybe it's helped some. It would probably help if Hollywood Studios had more than 3 rides. We went to 50s Primetime for lunch, which I've been there many times. It's one of my favorites. It's always good when you get a really good waiter, and we got a great one. He definitely played it up as much as he possibly could about us being family and, like, all the tables in his section. He was talking to all of us together as a group, and he was really good. Let's see. Then we went to the Halloween party, our second night, and I loved it, but I will say I'm glad I went because I've always wanted to go, but I feel like for this trip it was really more me selfishly wanting to go than actually Eli getting anything out of it. Clearly, he didn't care, but I felt like I didn't get the value that I could have gotten if I didn't have a baby with me. So I definitely won't be going back until he's old enough to stay out late, because he was getting grumpy towards the end of our night, like 8:30 or something. So and everything happened so late that night. It's like the parade isn't till 9:15 and the fireworks aren't till 10:15. So it's like an hour later than average. And so we watched the parade and then we were done. So we really didn't get to do much. I did not get to see Hocus Pocus Spectacular. I know. And Will and my mom took him back right after the parade, and one of the few things I wanted was one of those special desserts. So I raced to Adventureland and got one of the Haunted Mansion desserts to go, and as I was racing back to get on the bus, the fireworks were going, but I didn't stop to watch. So I feel like we definitely didn't get the value we could have. We rode Haunted Mansion, which was what I really wanted to do, and we watched the Atmosphere characters out front, which was so fun. I could have sat there all night just to watch them. And Will actually got so much attention with his costume. So many people stopped him, and 3 people asked to take a picture with him.
They looked great, by the way.
Yeah, he was really, he's very shy usually and does not like being the center of attention, but I think he was actually really enjoying it.
That's awesome.
Like a cast member stopped us on our way in and was like, "Oh my God, can I take a picture with you?" For anybody listening, he went as a young Walt. He grew a mustache for a few weeks and like slicked his hair back, and he got a name tag on Etsy that said Walt, and the city is Marceline, Missouri. So
He actually grew a mustache out just for that costume.
yes,
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
yes. So yeah. And for anybody listening, going with a baby, my baby is 8 months old. So that's the situation that we're working with. He's generally pretty happy all the time, unless he's hungry. So he is a very good baby, but that's how old he is, if anybody's wondering. So yes, he still is on formula and all that, and I'll talk about that a little later. Let's see. The next night I saw Happily Ever After. I have a lot of feelings, but I don't really know what they are yet. I didn't hate it, and I really wanted to hate it, but it's still not
It's hard.
wishes.
Yeah.
And the one thing that bothers me is I feel like this is going to make seating so much more competitive than it already is. And it's just another stressor. Like, you already have to worry about doing your dining reservations in advance, especially if you want to go anywhere good. Like, get your fast passes 60 days in advance, especially if you want to ride, like, Mine Train or Flight of Passage or, And so this is another thing where if you want to get a good seat, like, you have to be at the front if you want to see everything. And so you have to get there early, and it's just like one more thing. When it's just fireworks, like fireworks you can see from anywhere. You really don't have to worry. But this is just one more thing to worry about the crowds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that kind of is annoying. And that night we also went to Citricos. Citricos is one of the very, very nice Disney restaurants. I was very nervous about taking an infant in there, but I didn't get a babysitter because I'm that girl. And he was really good. They let us roll the stroller right up to the table, which was really nice of them, and he just kind of slept for a lot of the time. So if you're going with a baby and he's not quite old enough or steady enough to sit in a high chair, they will let you roll the stroller up. That's what they told me.
Okay.
So was very convenient because he can't really sit in a high chair that well yet. So we were kind of but that was like one of our last nights, and we had been holding him, like just taking turns shoveling food in our face for all the days before that. So it would have been nice to know at the beginning. Anyway, the last day we really just spent at Magic Kingdom doing all of the little kid things. I got my first ever fast pass for Peter Pan's flight. So that was cool. He loved the carousel. Like, he was really grumpy. And then we put him on it. I'll have to, like, send a video in our Facebook message. And he, like, was smiling and giggling. He thought it was awesome. So
Aww.
that was pretty fun. But he was just really enthralled. Like, at that age, they don't understand. But, like, we went to Festival of the Lion King, and he just stared because it's, like, so much going on. And you could tell he was just like, oh, my God, what is happening? Like, so it's funny to watch, like, that sort of thing. And he loves fish. He loves aquariums. So he loved the seas. He was talking and smiling and, like, kicking the entire time. So little things like that. Definitely, if it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip, taking an 8-month-old is not advisable at all. But for people like us, when you go every year, it's definitely worth it. And then a few extra things. We did have the opportunity to take a minivan. We took one.
How was that?
It was really good. They actually have 2 car seats available. They have them in the trunk, and if you need one, then they will set them up for you, or 2, So that was really nice. And how you do it is you get the Lyft app, and you call it yourself. So it's just like getting an Uber. And Will actually had it on his phone, so I don't think he really did anything special. And so all of the vehicles are numbered. And so it'll tell you, like, okay, number 37 is coming. And then you'll just wait out front, and whenever you see it pull up. And you're just like, hey, we need a car seat. The only thing I would caution people about is if you have a bigger family. So we had 5 people. We had my parents, me, Will, and Eli. And with using one of the car seats and having the extra one still in the trunk, there was not a lot of extra room, like, because we had our stroller and, like, you know, a diaper bag and a backpack, and I don't think we could have fit anything else in that trunk. So if you have, like, a double stroller, God forbid, or, you know, more people, it's going to be, and you need the car seats, like, it's going to be a tight squeeze to fit all of your stuff and everybody. But one of the guys said that they actually are thinking about adding some bigger vehicles. He's heard that rumor. I think it's doing really well. And all of the drivers were so nice. They were so friendly. Will sat in the front seat every time, and he had really nice conversations with all of them. And, you know, so that was nice. Just to talk to people about, like, what they've done and, you know, that sort of thing. Because a lot of them have moved around a lot in the park, so they can tell you about their different jobs. And then, and because of, I remember this after we got the accessibility comment, there is one of the vehicles that is wheelchair accessible, but Bell Services has to call for it, or the concierge. You can't do it via the Lyft app. So if you need an accessible minivan, it is available for you. You just have to go to Bell Services, and they'll set it up for you.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then baby care centers. Have y'all ever heard of those? I'd heard of them.
I'd heard of them, but obviously I don't have a baby, so
Yeah.
I have no reason to go.
I had heard of them, and, like, I'd been in one because it was by First Aid at Epcot. They are amazing. They have everything there. They have, like, nice changing tables. Like, they're giant. You could, like, take a nap on them. I was tempted. And they have, like, quiet rooms, and they have a room with, like, a movie playing for, I guess, grumpy little kids. You can buy stuff there, like formula and baby Tylenol and, you know, diapers, wipes, that kind of thing. And for us, the best thing they had was the microwave, because if you have a diva baby who will not drink cold formula, like, you're kind of out of luck. But you can go there, which is kind of inconvenient because there's only one in each park, so you definitely have to plan. But we would, like, one of us would run over to baby care and heat up a bottle and then keep it in, like, our little thermal bag that we have, and it was so much easier than trying to force him to drink cold, because that just takes forever, and it's super inconvenient. So
where are the locations? Did you go to one in each park?
we did. So Animal
Okay.
Kingdom, it's right past Pizza Safari, on the left, like, as you are walking past Pizza Safari. If you're going further into the park, it's on the left in a building, kind of out of the way.
Okay.
Epcot, it is in the Odyssey building, like that
Okay.
that building that never has anything in it except for food and wine. That's over, like,
The big gold one, right?
yeah, it's like in between Test Track and if you're walking down that bridge, the World Showcase, it's on the left. There's a bridge to it. From there, it just looks like an empty building, but it's in there, and that's where First Aid is too. And then Hollywood Studios, it is up at the front by Guest Relations. I didn't actually go in that one, Will did, but I know that's where it was. And then Magic Kingdom, it is right next to Crystal Palace, and that's, I believe, also where First Aid is in Magic Kingdom.
Cool.
So, not totally central locations, but definitely better than nothing at all. Super nice.
Yeah. Better than being, like, directly at the front of the park, too.
Yeah, yeah. And then Rider Swap, for people who don't know about Rider Swap, I had used it in the past with family members, so you can actually, it's very complicated, even in my mind, but you can double up on fast passes here. So I'll use us four as an example. So let's say we're going to Hollywood Studios, and what are two of the Tier 1 rides? Rockin' and Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we want to get a fast pass for both of those, and we have Eli. This is a really cool trip that we're taking. So, like, Brian and I could get a fast pass for Rockin', and then Mario and Beth could get a fast pass for Toy Story. So let's say our Rockin' one's first. So we'll go up there. Y'all two will go to the fast pass line, and we'll be there to us two will go to the fast pass line, Brian and me, and we'll be like, hey, we need a rider switch, we have a baby, and y'all will show the baby and be like, here's the baby. And they'll be like, okay. And they'll give you a ticket, like the red cards that you do the times with. And you'll walk through the line, and when you get to the front, they'll give you an actual paper, like Fast Pass looking ticket that says Ride or Switch, Rock and Roller Coaster, whatever. So then we'll ride Rock and Roller Coaster. And then we come out, and we give you the Ride or Switch pass. We take the baby. Y'all go ride Rock and Roller Coaster. Now it's y'all turn. Y'all have Toy Story Mania Fast Passes. So we go over there. Y'all two go to the Fast Pass line, and we're like, hey, we need a Ride or Switch. Show the baby. We stay outside. Y'all ride. Y'all come back. Give us the Ride or Switch. We ride.
Nice.
So if you can plan it, it's like super useful.
It's like a bonus.
Yeah, and like you could definitely like cheat your way with it if you wanted to, because 3 people can return on a Ride or Switch pass, but I would never recommend that. Like, we were actually able to ride. Everybody but my mom rode Flight of Passage twice. Because we had all 4 of us had fast passes for that, so we used them and got the Ride or Switch, and then the 3 of us went back, which we could have technically gotten 2 Ride or Switches, but that would be cheating a lot. So, because we could have gone in 2s, gotten a Ride or Switch, the next 2 gotten a Ride or Switch, and then had 2, but I don't like to cheat. And one thing about that is I added time into my plan for that, but I did not add enough time. I didn't realize how long it would take for everybody to ride, like to go. Basically, you're riding it twice.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in the sense that you can get more fast passes, but it's also going to take you a longer time.
Yeah, because it's like if you think about, okay, so go to Fast Pass line, let's say Space Mountain, to get from the like entrance, and then like all the way through, come out, 15 minutes is probably a reasonable, maybe even 20. And then you have to do it all over again. Like there's no overlap whatsoever. Clearly, because somebody has to stay with the baby. So yeah, I would say we're usually park warriors. And I tried to cut my planning like in half. And we probably got 2/3 accomplished of that half that I had thought we could get done. So definitely didn't have room for everything or time for everything. Like I said, I didn't say this on the air, sorry. We didn't even walk over to Splash Mountain, Pirates, Jungle Cruise. Like, we didn't even make it to that side of the park. And we were in Magic Kingdom for 3 days.
Dang.
I mean, not like a long time for 2 of the days, but still, we didn't even... It just didn't happen. And now for the burning question that I know everybody is waiting on. Did I or did I not use my stroller as a battering ram? No, I did not. But I can see why it's really frustrating, and I feel like I've definitely been guilty in the past of not understanding how hard it is to go with the stroller. Because people, like, obviously there's already people who don't pay attention. That annoys us already, right? But with a stroller, it's like you can't stop on a dime. So if somebody walks right in front of you, like, you can't stop. And if you do stop in time, then you're like an immovable object and everybody's just going around you and you can't start again. Because there's there's no way. Like, eventually you just have to start going and somebody has to give, because otherwise you would just stand there all day. Especially, like, whenever we got out of Festival of the Lion King and we were right next to the stroller parking, which is right next to the exit. And so by the time, like, we had everybody, like, ready to go, everybody was just pouring out. And I just couldn't go. Like, because nobody would let me in. And it's like, I don't want to, and it is farther in front of you. Like, it took me a while to get used to how far in front of me the front wheel was. Like, I almost ran into a lady and it would have been my fault, but I just didn't realize how far in front of me it was. So it's like, I don't want to hit anybody and get too close to them, but dang, I can't stand here all day. So right. I can see why it gets frustrating. And, like, I've always been the really fast walker who just darts through everybody, and people did that to me with the stroller, and I'm definitely guilty of doing that to people with strollers. But it's like, if I'm the one walking, I'm like, oh, I can make it, no problem. But, like, the person driving the stroller is going to be like, oh, crap, that person's about to stop in front of me. I'm about to hit that person. So I will definitely try to be more conscious. of how I walk without a stroller when I'm around them, but there's no excuse to not be considerate still. Like, we didn't hit anybody. One girl was on her phone, and I was walking kind of next to her, and she literally stopped and did like a 90-degree turn and started like walking. And so I ran over her foot with my, like, the back wheel. But I'm like, whoa, she just literally stopped, turned 90 degrees, and kept going, and, like, wasn't even paying attention to the fact there was a person next to her. So I really couldn't help it. That was her fault.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's no reason to use it as a battering ram. But it is kind of frustrating. And if you think about hanging a balloon on your stroller so you can see it in stroller parking, it's a terrible idea. Because whenever you try to walk with it, it just smacks you in the face or smacks other people in the face. Like, we thought it was a brilliant idea, and it was terrible.
Dang. So did you end up using something else to be able to figure out which one was yours, or did you just kind of wing it?
We just kind of winged it. And finally, by the end, I was so frustrated that I had rigged it up, and I tied it, and I made it to where I could slide it underneath. Like because there was a bag hanging on the back of the stroller. And so I got it to where I could slide it underneath there and still walk, and it wouldn't, like, fly out all the time. But it was not worth it. It would have just been easier to just... And ours didn't ever really get moved because we knew enough to park it in stroller parking and not just stop it anywhere. I feel like people have problems with getting them lost when they just park their stroller and they don't know where to put it.
Makes sense. So, I have a question for you. I know you were super worried before you went on your trip about forgetting things and, like, you know, what to pack because it was your first time. Was there anything that you didn't bring that you felt would have made your trip easier or would have just, like, improved your experience, or was definitely necessary and you totally regret not bringing it?
Nothing major. I think the most annoying thing was stuff that I wanted on the plane and I put in a suitcase. So, like,
Been there, done that.
Yeah, like, he had decongestant because he was a little congested, and his doctor said, give him a little before you, like, get on the plane, you know, because it might help, like, because I was really worried he was going to cry, you know, with the ears popping and all that. And I packed it in the suitcase with all the rest of the medicine, which is stupid. But I can't think of anything. Like, now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, my mom would come in and ask where something was. I'm like, oh, I forgot that. But now I can't remember what it was, and it clearly wasn't that important. Baby sunscreen, that was important.
So, let's bounce off of that question then. In retrospect, do you feel like you were prepared for this trip with him, or do you feel like there was definitely stuff that you should have had?
I will say the one thing I didn't bring enough of was burp claws, which is, like, the most random thing in the world, especially to somebody who doesn't have a kid. But, like, he used way more of them. And because, like, at home you can just, like, go grab one and it's not a big deal. But in the parks you're like, crap, okay, especially if you have a baby who has reflux like I do and they spit up a lot. Like, okay, well, this one's ruined. Like, gotta put this in a plastic bag. Now what are we gonna do? You know, but I'm also really anal about, like, him getting dirty and him having slobber on him. I hate it. It's disgusting. I don't care that I'm a parent. Bodily fluids are still gross. So, but I feel like I was pretty prepared. I wasn't prepared. Like, for example, the microwave thing did not even cross my mind that we would need to heat up this bottle until, like, the night before. And I was like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? You know? So time-wise, I should have left myself more leeway for time. But as far as items that we took, I think I did pretty good. But I had so many lists. If you can fit it in a suitcase, take it, even if you don't need it. It's better to have it than to have to buy it there. Or to not be able to get something there. So. Makes
sense. Well,
cool.
I'm glad you had fun with him, and I'm glad that your first trip with him was a success, especially after how nervous we all know you were. I'm very happy that it went well for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good.
Cool.
So do you guys have any other questions, or should we move on to our game?
Let's play.
Yeah.
Play? Okay. So, actually, first, before we go there, did you want to tie anything up, Kirsten? Anything you wanted to say?
Well,
Just kind of-
I'll answer Brian's question. Brian's question is, what was Eli's favorite attraction and why was it Country Bear Jamboree? Well, I think Eli knows that he doesn't want to be disowned, so he will never say that. Otherwise, you can keep him.
You're really...
That's funny.
He missed out on the best part, I will say, of Disney.
I bet as a baby he would have really liked
He
it.
probably would have. He would have been like, oh my god.
You say that like
We're
adults
scared.
shouldn't enjoy it.
No, I didn't mean it like that, Brian.
It would have been visually appealing.
I feel like he would have either really loved it or he would have been terrified.
That's a good point.
True. Maybe I feel like next time he goes, hopefully before he's 2, it'll probably be like, that's when he'll determine, like, does he hate characters or love them. We did meet Mickey Mouse, talking Mickey, creepy as hell. Sorry, but he thought it was fascinating, and like was holding the nose and all that. But I feel like next trip around 2 is when they figure out like, okay, those are either cool or they're terrifying. If he's smart, he'll go with terrifying in the Country Bear's case.
Well, I'm excited to see what he decides.
So, let's jump into our game for the next like 15-20 minutes or so. We kind of decided that to give our childless listeners, I guess, something to listen to, we're gonna play a game of Would You Rather and Keep, Refurbish, Demolish. So I guess we can start with the Would You Rathers and then we'll move to the Keep, Refurbish, Demolish, or we can kind of do a nice mix between them. Whichever you guys think. So I guess I can start off with one of mine. This is one that I feel like I know Brian's answer to. My first would you rather is, would you rather get stuck on Small World for 24 hours or be trapped in Country Bear Jamboree for 24 hours?
One of these sounds like the worst possible experience at Disney, and one of them is like the best. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with Country Bear.
Small World all the
Yeah.
way.
No, I would definitely pick Country Bear because at least it's like, it's got a variety. It's not the same song over and over again.
Right? Oh my god, it would
I
drive
love
me
Small World.
insane listening to it. Yeah, but come on, like, that
know.
same song.
I love it. Well,
repeatedly?
here's my favorite thing to do. One of my Disney roommates is terrified of like the creepy little children, and so some of them are like the old ones with the jewel eyes. So I love to take video Snapchats and then put them in like slow-mo and then send them to her. It's so creepy.
That's awesome.
So that's
The
how I've
dolls.
entertained myself.
The dolls are just, I don't like them, but at the same time, like, I feel like either of these being trapped in them is just so not ideal. I think I'd probably have to go with Small World just because I would probably eventually get out and walk around the ride even though I know that I shouldn't. And I feel like there's more to walk around in there than there is in Country Bear because you're kind of trapped in the theater. But that's just my take on it.
I would just go insane having to hear that song for 24 hours.
I would go insane in either for 24 hours, but, it's pick your poison here.
Yeah. So, we also have one from a listener, which I think we should do.
Oh, yeah. We should definitely do our listener one.
So, from a listener, Wesley Snyder, on Twitter, at 365 Days of Disney, says, would you rather only be able to go to Hollywood Studios for the next year, or go to any park you want as long as you eat a turkey leg each day?
Hollywood Studios all the way. I would just get in line for Tower of Terror all day, every day.
I think it depends. Is it Hollywood Studios in its current state or in its future state? Or, like,
You probably
the
mean
changing
current
state?
because it's
Yeah, I would say current.
Because if we're going, like, it's going to change as time goes along, I'd probably do, Hollywood Studios because there's a lot of cool things coming to that. But the turkey leg doesn't sound too bad.
My problem is that and I'm sure Brian maybe has the same idea, is as many times as I go in a year, that's a lot of turkey legs.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm also a vegan, so
Here's how it
that would
go.
be awful.
You would choose turkey leg and eat a turkey leg every day, and then you would get stuck on small water country bears for 24 hours because you'd be too fat to get up.
Oh my god. And then I would just wish for death.
I'm going with that turkey leg.
You're brave.
I just, yeah. I
You
don't know.
go way more than I do.
And I would still do it. I mean, I don't hate Hollywood Studios, but a year of only Hollywood Studios, I don't think
Yeah.
I'm even a big enough Disney fan to do that.
Well, and the thing about it, too, is that doesn't rule out going to Hollywood Studios. You just have to eat a turkey leg in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
True.
I think I would just take that year to soak in every little detail, figure out all the stuff that I've never noticed before, while I miss going to every other park.
Well, you have no choice, so.
Yeah.
So I have one somewhat related to that one. Would you rather have an annual pass for life that only allowed you to get into Magic Kingdom, or one that lets you get into every other park except Magic Kingdom?
Hands down, the other parks.
So you couldn't
I love
ever go to Magic?
Kingdom.
Nope, you could only do the other three.
Oh, God.
I think
Now, could you pay still to get into Magic, or is it like totally off limits?
No, like you're blacked out of Magic Kingdom
Oh man, that does suck.
For life?
for life.
Kirsten
for
sounds so
life.
heartbroken.
This is hard. Is
I
killing
would
yourself an
pick-
option?
Oh my god. I think I would still pick the other parks. I love Magic Kingdom, and I would be really sad to see, especially like Haunted Mansion go, but I love Epcot and Animal Kingdom too much, and that's, two parks, not one.
Yeah, I have to agree. I love Haunted Mansion. I've said it before. I'm not going to say it again. But I think having that variety is necessary to enjoying Disney, so I have to go with the 3 parks.
We'll just build our own Haunted Mansion, Mario.
We can go on Tower of Terror and pretend it's Haunted Mansion.
Right.
Could I bring back wishes if I stayed in Magic Kingdom every day for a year?
I think that might be your deal breaker.
Yeah, wow. Okay, you can have wishes.
Okay, then I would choose Magic Kingdom.
Nice.
It would break my heart, but there's nothing like walking down Main Street to the castle. What about
Yeah.
you, Brian? You have to choose.
You know, this one was tough, but I think I would go with the 3 other parks. As hard as it is giving up all the stuff in Magic Kingdom, I think you get a more well-rounded experience, getting to enjoy everything in all the other 3, so I'd go with that.
I agree with that. Plus, you'll never get to see Toy Story Land or Star Wars Land or anything else that they put
Yeah,
in
but
any
I get
other
to see
park.
wishes every night for the rest of my life.
This is true.
Yeah, see, that makes it hard because, I don't know, Wishes is totally a deal breaker.
I don't know. There's
But-
just nothing like going to Magic Kingdom, and now that they have the hub grass, just like not having anything to do and just laying down and looking at the castle and hearing like the castle show and just like relaxing. I don't know. It's just, especially when it's a pretty day, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And then you follow it
I
up with
agree.
wishes and a Rice Krispie.
It's
You
funny.
mean you're not going to follow it up with a Dole Whip and a Happily Ever After now?
No.
It sounds like a nightmare Kirsten had once.
Did you want to pick one off this list, Kirsten, or did you not really get a chance to look at this?
I'll say Restored River Country or Fifth Gate.
That was a hard one. I liked that one. I don't know. I need a moment to process that.
I would choose Fifth Gate 100%. Like, the idea of a Fifth Gate excites me so much. I love reading about all of people's crazy rumors.
What would your fifth
Yeah.
gate be if you had to pick one?
I'm all for the Dark Kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
bring it on.
Yeah, I think I would pick Fifth Gate too.
See, this one's hard for me. Like, when I grew up, we almost always stayed at the campground when I was a kid, and a big part of that was going to river country. And yeah, it was a lot smaller than all the other water parks they had, but it really had a unique charm about it. It was so detailed, and the way that they themed it was just really cool. Having said that, though, it's hard to pass up what, would potentially be an entire new park. So, yeah, as much as I loved River Country and as many memories as I have of it, I think I'm going to have to go with Fifth Gate, too.
See, I never went to River Country. Did anybody go besides you? Because that's probably a big part of it is the nostalgia.
Yeah, I never.
I've seen pictures of it, and I think that's what's made it kind of like really hard for me to pick for this one, is because the pictures have all kind of made it seem really cool and definitely different than what we have now. But I think Brian swayed me. I'm going to go Fifth Gate too, just because there's so many different possibilities. I feel like we know what River Country already was, and we know what it would be if they restored it. So having the option to let Disney just design its own park, well, obviously it's its own park, but design a new park, and just let it be whatever they want it to be is pretty exciting.
For sure.
So...
Y'all want to do a couple of keep, refurbish, demolish?
Yeah, I was going to go to that one next. I want to do... Let's do fireworks shows or stage shows. Happily Ever After, Illuminations, or Fantasmic.
I would keep Happily Ever After, Refurbish, Fantasmic, and Demolish Illuminations.
Boo.
I love Illuminations. This one's really hard for me.
I would keep Illuminations, refurbish Fantasmic, and demolish Happily Ever After, Bring Back Wishes.
I was just gonna say my favorite, Fantasmic is pretty much my favorite show at the parks, but I think it could definitely use an update, or else that would have been my keep. But Illuminations, I don't know, it's pretty and it has nice music, but I kind of just walk by it most of the time. Sorry.
So, I guess I can do mine, because I'm thinking about it now. I would probably... this is going to be so awful. I'm going to keep Happily Ever After, refurbish Illuminations, and demolish Fantasmic, as awful as that sounds. I love Fantasmic. All of them are very near and dear to me, except for Happily Ever After. I haven't really lived through that yet. But Happily Ever After is so new, I think that it really needs to get its chance to shine. So I wouldn't demolish that right away. Illuminations has prime spot, so there's so many different viewing locations around the lake that I think that it's hard to not put something in there. And then I think Fantasmic is in a park where it's okay to not have that in that spot, if that makes sense, just because there's so many other things going on, especially since they have the Star Wars fireworks show now too. So in my thinking of this, I'm thinking if I demolish something, there's nothing else going in its place.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
But that's
I
my
love
favorite.
Fantasmic.
It's so hard to pick that one because I like all three of them so much.
What would you pick, Brian?
Okay, I'm just going to back out of this one because I still haven't seen Happily Ever After yet, and I haven't seen Fantasmic in a decade, if not longer.
Really?
Yeah, so...
What do you do at night?
I don't know. I'm not there at night usually, so...
That's fair enough.
All right. Let's see. if one like stands out to you guys, definitely go ahead and read it.
Let's do royal dining. So royal dining, Cinderella's royal table, Be Our Guest, or Akershush. I don't know how the heck you say it, but that.
I think it's a cursus. I have no idea either. Now that I've never had to say it out loud.
If anybody speaks Arundelian, let us know.
So, in our lost episode that I never got to air because Kirsten and I had too many technical difficulties, you missed me talking about how much I don't like that restaurant. So I'm going to say I would keep Be Our Guest because I really like Be Our Guest. I know it gets a lot of, like, hit or miss reviews. Refurbish Cinderella's Cinderella's Royal Table, just because I don't know, it really does,
especially for that price point.
Yeah, for that price point, I expect a lot more out of it. I haven't been there in a really long time, so I don't know if it's gotten any better. But from my experience, I would say it needs it, and then probably get rid of that last one. I'm not even gonna try to say it.
Yeah,
I think I would do the same.
Mario.
Yeah, same.
Oh, that was an easy one.
Yeah, I've actually, the only one of these which is funny because I'm the one that put this one. The only one that I've actually eaten at is Be Our Guest, but the thing that I would refurbish about Cinderella's Royal Table is, like, the food options. Like, I get that it's supposed to be, like, kind of fancy or whatever, but the reason that I've never been there is because my boyfriend is such a picky eater that I don't think he would like or eat anything on the menu. And it's like, I'm not going to pay $60 for him to sit there and watch me eat.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm. All right. I've got a unique spin on this. I got 3 rides that are already dead, and you get to bring 2 of them back, and one of them gets a refurbishment. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, the Great Movie Ride, and Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter.
This is a hard one.
So we're bringing 2 back and refurbishing 1?
Yeah, so just one of them, same deal. One of them stays dead now because they're all dead, but...
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I never rode Mr. Toad or Extraterrestrial, but just from what I've read about them, heard about them, I would keep Mr. Toad, refurbish Great Movie Ride because I would have loved for them to do that anyway, and demolish Extraterrestrial.
I did Extraterrestrial when I was literally a child, and it's one of the few. I was probably 6, and it's one of the few things about that trip that stands out very vividly to me because it was absolutely terrifying as a 6-year-old. So I would probably bring that one back and then refurbish Great Movie Ride, and I know this is probably a real unpopular opinion, but keep Mr. Toad dead because, I don't know, like, I like the little ride-throughs, Snow White Scary Adventures and stuff like that, but they're not my favorite.
I'm gonna be a little weird on this one. This one's kind of hard because I want to say give Extraterrestrial a refurb, but we already got that, and it was even worse. So, Mr. Toad, I think, can stay dead just purely on the fact that I like Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh where it is. So if we brought Mr. Toad back, I feel like that would probably have to leave because that was the spot that it's in. So Mr. Toad can stay dead. Great Movie Ride can get refurbished, and then bring Extraterrestrial back and leave it there. Just because out of Extraterrestrial and Stitch, I'll take Extraterrestrial, even though I don't absolutely hate Stitch.
Yeah. I'm with Kirsten on this one. I'm bringing back Mr. Toad's, refurbishing Great Movie Ride, and then, yeah, leaving Extraterrestrial dead. And also, if we can throw it in there, go ahead and kill Stitch off.
So much hatred towards Stitch.
I don't hate it as much as, like, the Disney community hates Stitch, but it's not good. It's just really not good.
I just feel like with the limited space that they have, there's nothing good they can put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Stitch as a character, but
Oh yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what
Stitch's
kills it
Great
about.
Escape. Yeah.
Like they could have done so much more with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I guess, like Mario said, there's not much that they can do with that space, but I think the only reason that you would like this ride is if you like the smell of chili cheese dogs. Oh gosh, this is a really hard one. I'm going to say park icons. So,
Oh, yeah, that is a hard one.
Cinderella Castle, Tree of Life, and Spaceship Earth.
Okay,
I
so
choose
here's
death.
does this entail like in the Tree of Life and Spaceship Earth refurbishing the rides that are in them?
Let's say yes, because
Yeah.
that would also count for Cinderella's Royal Table and the Castle Suite as well.
Okay, so alright.
Or actually, let's say yes to all of it and even go with like Tree of Life Awakening, Happily Ever After, and everything that goes on in and around them.
This is so hard.
This is really hard.
Come back to me in an hour.
The killer part is the one that you have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll be the bad guy. I'm gonna, all are gonna kill me. I'm gonna kill off the Tree of Life. I just don't. I don't know. I love it. This was a really hard one, like you guys are saying, but I can live without. It's tough to be a bug. I can live without a lot of the stuff that's in there. What I don't think I could live without is Spaceship Earth. So that's going to have to be my keep. And then I would refurbish Cinderella's castle, but I wouldn't really change a lot. I would probably change the things that are available inside of it. Like I said before, Cinderella's Royal Table. I'll even go the Kirsten route and say bring back wishes.
Can you make this suite $100 a night?
I don't know about that one, but
And only available to us.
but I would also do make minor changes that make it more accessible to the public, I guess. Because I feel like that's the one thing that it really lacks. Like even with the Tree of Life, you have the walking trails around it where you can kind of it's more interactive than just being a park icon. If that yeah.
See,
Go ahead.
I like to me the castle and the Tree of Life are like integral to that park. I mean the whole theming of Animal Kingdom is kind of revolved around the Tree of Life, and I mean Cinderella's castle is it's the Disney icon. So I don't think you can get rid of either one of those. So I would say unfortunately I would get rid of Spaceship Earth, and then and then I would refurbish the Tree of Life because I'm not a big fan of the show in there. So
Yeah.
This is the point where I cut it out and I play the It's Tough to Be a Bug song.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to keep Cinderella Castle, clearly. But I'm struggling because I love the Tree of Life, but I hate that ride. And I love Spaceship Earth. Yeah, I'm going to refurbish the Tree of Life and kill Spaceship Earth. Much as it pains me to do so. I'm sorry, Judi Dench.
Yeah, it definitely pains me, but I would actually demolish the Tree of Life. I would keep Cinderella Castle, and I would refurbish Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth is just I don't know. It's one of those rides for me that it's just like a part of my Disney trip. It's obviously the other things are too, but if we get rid of the Tree of Life, we can have Everest become the new park icon or something.
Well, that's true. Epcot doesn't really have anything else. I mean, I'm going to stick with what I said, but I'm wondering what Epcot would be. Foundations? That's a lame.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that makes it really hard. I want to bounce back real quick to Would You Rathers because I really liked this one. I kind of wanted to save this till later. Would you rather them build a single suite room but more like how Cinderella's castle, the room used to be, where they would give it away to families and stuff like that, in Tower of Terror or Haunted Mansion?
Tower of Terror, 100%, no question.
Really? I mean, I know you love it, but
Oh yeah, so much. Like, I like Haunted Mansion, but I do not have a love affair with Haunted Mansion like I do Tower of Terror.
I would pick Haunted Mansion.
this one was hard for me because I do love both of them. But I would definitely say Haunted Mansion just because I feel like I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna go back on that and say Tower of Terror. Actually, I feel like it'd be really easy for them to theme a room to Tower of Terror.
Yeah, it'd be amazing and creepy.
It would be yeah. It has that creepy hotel atmosphere already, so it'd be very easy for them to tie a story into it and why you would stay there and all that. But I also think that it's new enough of an attraction that it wouldn't be like shamed as much for them adding something to it. Like, I feel like if they ever touch Haunted Mansion and add anything to it, it's gonna like set off this ticking time bomb in the Disney community.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be up that high. That's why. That's one of the reasons I pick Haunted Mansion. But also, Haunted Mansion is a home, and Tower of Terror is just a hotel.
Yeah, but they can easily make a story as to why you would theme it or you would stay in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, are there any other last minute ones you guys want to do? Anything that really stands out to you on this list before we tie it off?
I think this one will be pretty quick, so I want to say it because I think it's disgusting.
Oh no.
Would you rather have to eat nachos that include every topping on Pico's Bill's bar, or have to drink a cup of all the sodas at Club Cool?
Nachos, hands down.
I would barf either way, so...
I'm going with the sodas.
I'm going with the sodas.
I have to go with the soda because it's so much less. Like, you could just take it like a shot and then get it over with.
That's
you have to drink a cup.
Is it like a regular size cup or a Club Cool cup? Because if it's a Club Cool cup, I'm taking that back.
I would say like a 16-ounce cup.
Oh, God. How long would you have to drink and
fair.
eat these things?
An hour.
Yeah, I'd go with the drink. Because I hate spicy
Yeah.
things, and I don't think I could do jalapenos.
I would still go with the nachos. I'm going to be way different on that. I can eat things, but, like, I have a really bad gag reflex with that Beverly, and I don't know why. I know it's disgusting, but I'm the only one that almost, like, always gets really weird about that.
I've never tried it.
It's not... The taste isn't what kills me for some reason. I think it always burns. Like, I don't know. It's very hard to explain.
Like, it doesn't... It's hard to describe. It doesn't taste like something you should actually be putting in your body, to me. Like, it tastes like a chemical. Like, I've had things that taste bad, but this tastes like I'm not supposed to drink this, if that makes sense.
But I'm not supposed to drink this.
I like to think that maybe all the other really good sodas would cover it up a little bit, and I could just chug it.
I really like the watermelon one. Like, I could drink that for the rest of my life. Side note, Mountain Dew, I think it was, made an energy drink that was watermelon flavored, and it tasted exactly like that. But yeah, I could live off the watermelon one. I
love the one that's like, I can't remember the name, but it's like bubblegum flavored. I really like that one, and
that one's okay.
I really like the watermelon one. I like pretty much all of them except for Beverly.
I've never tried any of them.
So next time you're down there, you have to try them.
I don't like other drinks. I drink like 5 things. I wanted to make my dad try Beverly because he eats and drinks everything, and he's just like, that's good. So I really wanted to, but we didn't have time.
Well, the whole thing with Beverly is that it's supposed to make you hungry. I don't think it makes me hungry. It makes me want to gag.
Yeah.
Anyway, are there any other ones that you, Brian or Kirsten, you guys want to throw out there?
I think I'm good. I mean, I think we should we have a lot to save for the next time. All these look fun, but well,
Okay, so for
actually,
time's
let's do
sake-
special events because we're like right in the thick of all three of these.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Very
good
merry,
one. I like
not
that
so
one.
scary. Food and wine. Keep, refurbish, demolish.
Oh, I can easily do this one really quick. Keep not so scary because that's my favorite event ever. Refurbish very merry because it has a lot of potential, but I feel like it falls short on a lot of the offerings, especially in comparison to not so scary. And then food and wine has just become Epcot, so we can get rid of that, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
never
I
done
agree.
Very Merry, but I think I would agree with that if I had done it from what I've heard from everyone else. And yeah, food and wine, it's basically starting to stretch out to become like half of the year at Epcot anyway. So how long before it's just, that's what Epcot is.
Yeah, I agree. And the underlying reason for food and wine was like to get people to come during the slow season. So if they get rid of that, maybe it'll be less crowded and we can go back to how it was.
Right, and that's the thing that kind of stinks with like food and wine is where they put the booths is so not ideal for regular park traffic. So now that it's become half of the year that's food and wine, it's like they really don't have the opportunity to move those booths out as much as they did, and it just, I don't know, to me it's just not ideal, but
I don't know. I've never been to Very Merry, but I would definitely keep Not So Scary. I don't know. I really love food and wine. I think I would pick that to refurbish and get rid of Very Merry. And I know that's kind of biased because I've never done Very Merry, but if I could refurbish food and wine to be more vegan friendly, that's what I would do.
well, this is, like I said, this is my feelings on it. With Very Merry, it sucks just because Not So Scary is right before it. Like, there's a 10-day transition this year, I think, between the two of them. And Not So Scary is just incredible. And if you were to do both of them, Not So Scary is right before Very Merry. I feel like you're just not going to have as much fun. It is my goal in the future, though, to do a trip where I can do both of them. But I'm going to have to save that for a couple years down the road when I actually have the money to do that. And I will tell you how it is.
Cool.
All right. Any other ones, or we should probably tie these up then. Save some of them for the next time we have some free time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So before we close this out, I want to read a review that we got on iTunes this week. I was really happy to see this because every week I say something about leaving an iTunes review, and I don't think anyone really understands how much this helps out the show. The more reviews we have, the easier it is for people to find us, the better our ratings are, so the higher we are up on iTunes. And it gives us feedback too, so we know what we're doing right, we know what we're doing wrong, we know what you want to hear more of. But this week we got a review from Mr. Anchovy. They said, "It's refreshing to finally find a Disney-themed podcast where the hosts actually do some research instead of mindlessly bantering, proclaiming ignorance about things that they're supposed to be discussing, giggling at themselves, and sharing little in-jokes that are better saved for when no one else is listening. Actual tips, tricks, and honest opinions." I honestly saw this while I was on my lunch break at work, and it made me just super happy. There have been a lot of times where we've been doing the show, and I'm researching for the in-depth episodes, and I'm sitting here thinking, does anybody really want to listen to all of this? But it's great to hear that we're actually speaking to an audience and someone's out there listening, and it really appreciates the work we're putting into the show. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Anchovy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind words.
Yes, and they mean a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's
that
fun
said-
talking every week. Like, I would talk about it anyway, but it is
Right.
nice to know that people are actually listening to us.
Yeah, I mean, when we started talking about doing this podcast, actually almost a year ago, I didn't expect it to be like this. It's very intimidating. I honestly could not have asked for better people to do this with, and I thank you guys very much for doing this with me as much as we have been. And it's great to talk to these guys every week, but to know that there's someone else out there that really appreciates what we're doing is just awesome.
Mm-hmm. And seriously, if for any of our listeners, if there's stuff that you'd like us to touch on, just contact us. Email, Twitter, Instagram, however you want to do it. Let us know what you want to hear, and we'll do our best to work that in.
Yeah, and we've kind of did that this week. We talked about Chance Little thing that he mentioned early on. We read this this review. We're always open to listener feedback. So that said, is there anything else you guys want to do before we tie it up this week? Anything you want to talk about?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to leave us an iTunes review and subscribe to us so you don't miss another episode. You can also contact us on Facebook at facebook.com/Station71pod, or on Twitter at Station71pod, Instagram at Station71podcast, and you can reach us at our email, station71podcast@gmail.com. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.